Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidiyate. Okay, let's continue finishing this verse. Atmakaha, and we're going to move on. So let's cover these. We covered Satchit Ananda, more on this to come. Let's just see what these bodies are, the three bodies. So yesterday we stopped with, we said the statement, what are these false conclusions that one carries about themselves, about Atma? What are these false conclusions? And the verse now says, so Atma is taken as these three bodies. You know, when we say the word Sharira, this is in Sanskrit, Sharira has two definitions. The first is that which decays, so obviously your body decays, and that which changes, so changes in ultimately into a different form. So it's an appropriate term for our gross body, tangible, made of food. We're all familiar with this, and this gross body is made alive by, in Sanskrit we call, you heard probably sukshma, okay? It just means subtle. For lack of a better word, we use subtle, okay? It actually doesn't really mean subtle. It specifically means that which cannot be perceived by your physical senses. You cannot perceive your thoughts through your physical eyes. So for the lack of a better term, we just say, what? It's subtle, something that is subtler than the physical body. And this subtle is what leaves when the person dies. So, you know, we say, suppose someone's sleeping, and we say, knock, knock, and they're kind of sleeping, they're dozing away, and go, knock, 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 wake up, wake up. And so their body is there, but there's no person responding. So what happened? The subtle is not fully with the physical. There's no full connection established. So what do we have to do? We have to knock them a little bit harder for the subtle body to suddenly come, so that, you know, they can actually feel someone touching the physical body, and then they will wake up. But sometimes we, knock, knock, nothing. Knock, 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 nothing. And then we discover their pulse, and there's no physical pulse. So now we call the doctor, and the doctor comes over, and the doctor says, he or she is gone. What do you mean, he or she is gone? The physical body is right here. I can touch it. I can feel it. But says, no, they're gone. So now what's gone? Something about this physical body, which was keeping it alive, which was keeping it functioning, is gone. And so we call this the subtle body. So this is the subtle body. And now we have the causal body. The causal body in Sanskrit, you probably heard karana. Karana just means cause. Karana sharira. Okay, they're all shariras. This is karana sharira. So now, karana sharira, I tell you, is the least understood topic in Advaita. It always confuses people. What's the causal body? This is because it's got a lot of aspects, this causal body to itself. It's got several aspects. It's got the source of your desires, source of your fancies, the source of your inclinations. We call them samskaras. But more importantly, in this case, the question is, how is, Jiva is born. Jiva is born. Okay. Now the question is, how is the Jiva born? Is the jiva born with knowledge? Or is the jiva born completely ignorant?
It's born with some knowledge.
Born with some knowledge pertaining to basic survival. But more or less, we even have to learn the language to communicate. So what does this mean? Jiva is born out of what? Out of? Jiva is born ignorant. So jiva is born out of ignorance. If the jiva was born out of knowledge, then what? You know, you could leave the baby alone and automatically it would start to what? Express language, express mathematics, express geography, express all of these skills. So this means, because that is not the case, it means that the jiva, remember what jiva means? Jiva means anything that's sentient. Okay? Animals, plants, but in this case we're interested in us human beings. Okay? So jiva is born out of ignorance. Now the next question that comes is, okay, then when did ignorance come? So if jiva is born out of ignorance, then you have to now analyze ignorance. So since when did ignorance come? How did ignorance come in the first place? So then we use some logic in Vedanta. We say, if ignorance, see, there's only two options you can do. If ignorance came from void, is that possible, that ignorance comes from absolutely nothing? There's absolutely nothing, neither knowledge nor ignorance, and from that comes ignorance. Is that possible? No. Understand this? There's neither knowledge nor ignorance, nothing. And from that comes ignorance. Logically impossible.
Yes.
How about, now there's only one other option. Can ignorance come out of knowledge?
Yeah. Yes.
Careful. If it's all knowledge, full, total knowledge, there is not one thing that is missing. All knowledge. Can ignorance come out of knowledge?
Yes.
How can ignorance come out of knowledge? So this means what? I know, careful here. I know how to, okay, forget how to drive a car, okay? Please forget car driving knowledge right now. You have knowledge how to drive a car. Please forget, I want you to start car driving ignorance right now.
Impossible.
Now we're talking about all knowledge. We're not just talking about car knowledge. We're talking about all knowledge. How can ignorance come from knowledge? Knowledge opposes ignorance. Either I don't know or I know. How can from I know come I don't know? You understand this?
Because it's covered.
Yeah.
Because it's covered.
Covered.
Seemingly.
It's covered.
Covered.
It's covered at the human level. It's covered at our level. But I'm talking about all knowledge. All knowledge. Not human knowledge. All knowledge. So there's all knowledge. I mean all knowledge of everything.
That's also ignorance.
Where is ignorance going to come? How can ignorance come out of knowledge?
No.
Logically impossible. I want you to think about this. This is also a Vedic statement. So look at this. Ignorance, remember, jiva is born from ignorance. Where did ignorance come? Ignorance cannot come from void, from nothing, neither it can come from knowledge. So what's the only other possibility? Then where did ignorance come from?
Self.
It had to be there all along.
Yeah.
It had to be there all along. It cannot come from void, it cannot come from knowledge. Ignorance had to be what? We call it anadi, beginningless. So now, if ignorance is beginningless and jiva is born out of ignorance, then jiva must also be what? Beginningless. So how many lives have you been here already? Beginningless. And therefore, what do we call the causal body? We call the causal body avidya, ignorance. Why do we call causal body specifically? The technical term is avidya, ignorance. Why is it ignorance? Because we say your causal body is ignorance. Why? Because you as a person originated out of the causal body, originated out of ignorance. When did ignorance start? Anadi. It never started. It was always here. Okay? Causal body. Doubts?
Yes. The logic that all knowledge cannot produce all. In my logic, I always thought ignorance is part of the...
No. Did you hear the statement perhaps, Maya is ignorance?
Yes.
Wrong. We're going to analyze that. That is 100% wrong statement.
Thank you.
Say it again.
But how come we didn't pursue in one lifetime already this knowledge if it's so long? Beginningless beginning.
Yeah, so it's like a circular. Think of creation circular. So within a circle, see, careful, this is a common question. If we had infinite lifetimes, okay, then does that not mean we should have already, solved the problem? There's a difference between beginningless and end. It is anadi, but anadi has an end. See, that's a small distinction. So yes, there was beginningless lifetimes, but beginningless lifetimes eventually comes to an end. If you say the word infinity, so this means what? Instant logical problem. If we were here infinite amount of times, you understand? This means by now, what's the point of moksha, right? Because it already something should have happened. So beginningless is different from end. It is beginningless, but it has an end. Okay? Why does it have an end? Because ignorance is mithya. I didn't know how to drive a car once upon a time. I had car driving ignorance, gone. How? When I gained knowledge, gone. Understand? So ignorance depends on what? Ignorance depends upon the one who doesn't know. The one who doesn't know, when they gain knowledge, what happens with ignorance? It goes away. So this means what? Ignorance goes away, therefore it is anadi, but it can come to an end.
And is knowledge also beginningless and has an end?
No. So no, because see, when the wise person, leaves their body, the world has to continue for the rest of us. Okay, so the world has to keep supplying with intelligence for the functioning of the world. Okay? Your heart right now is beating by the power of all knowledge, because it's still here. So even when you leave this world and no longer come back, the rest of us still have to kind of go through our own process. So the creation will always be here. It will never go to an end. Creation knows no end. There will never be a time when creation permanently resolves. It will always come, recede, come and recede.
So, knowledge is also mithya, no?
Knowledge is mithya, however, knowledge has to continue for you and I to keep supplying this world. If knowledge comes to an end...
Right, but don't you have two kinds of knowledge, is there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tell me about it.
Well, I'm just reasoning. Well, the pure knowledge and manifested knowledge too, like Ishvara knowledge, manifested world.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So.
because they also call consciousness sometimes knowledge. So I'm thinking about this.
I'm not familiar with these terms. No. Two kinds of knowledge. No. This is already now going into a territory which I'm not familiar with. now what, we're dividing knowledge into categories? No, knowledge is knowledge. Okay, let's just pause this, otherwise we start bringing terms from other teachers and I can feel that. Okay, all knowledge, there's no difference between all knowledge and satyam. Okay, so there's only knowledge, only knowledge. There's no two kinds of knowledge, there's only knowledge. Okay, because wherever there is mithya, that's where satyam is.
Can I ask you a question? This baby, is ignorant, huh? But it knows perfectly well to find the mother's breast.
It knows the mother's?
The breast of the mother.
Right.
So, is that not knowledge?
Yeah. So this is what we call dharma. This is program for the sake of survival of the species. This comes naturally. Some things come naturally.
It's not part of knowledge, or so that's confusing me. I think the baby has that knowledge, so it has knowledge.
So this is, now, how did this word knowledge come into the first place? I get it, all knowledge we introduced.
Yeah.
Listen, this is creation, okay? We've not talked about nimitta karanam, we've not talked about Ishvara yet. So no knowledge yet, okay? What you're talking about, baby, this is what? This is all knowledge, but this will come when we talk about Ishvara, okay?
Is dharma the same as instinct? Or is there what we call instincts?
Instincts, what?
Instinct.
Instincts, yes. So instincts, so the capacity to survive, to procreate, to eat. So you could say this is instincts. So this is part of the natural program that all babies come into this world.
Yeah, that's also dharma.
This is also dharma. And so naturally what this program prevents us from hurting each other. This program lets us know, I don't want to hurt myself, but I also don't want to hurt you. So this program comes naturally. And this is also part of all knowledge, which we will discuss slowly. Okay? So this causal body you experience when? When do you experience the cause? Remember the definition of causal body is ignorance. You experience the causal body when? Deep sleep. When? So you want to know what causal body is like? Go to sleep, right? There's no error and there's no ignorance. I don't even know that there's no error and there's no ignorance. I don't even know that I'm there. Okay, total ignorance, total cover. Now you got I've probably got many questions. This is just intro. I need to get to the gunas and all of this. The causal body needs to be analyzed more specifically. So hold your questions. Now, is Atma ignorance? Is Atma ignorance? We said no, because if Atma was ignorance, then you could never tell that you don't know. You would never say, I don't know. Just that I know that I don't know means that I'm not covered, because I know about the fact that I don't know. You understand this distinction? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we identify the fact that I don't know, and we make that our identity. I don't know. So what? Atma has now become this I don't know identity. Therefore, Atma has gained ignorance. Atma has what? Become as though ignorant. So what we're saying here is Atma, in the presence of Atma, there is a thought. And in this thought, there is some lack of knowledge, lack of knowing. And in the basis of that, I say, I know that there is knowledge, there is piece of information that is missing. So I know in the presence of I don't know. I know that I don't know. So really, you're not being covered at all. Okay? Therefore, what is Atma so far? It says stula, physical, sukshma, sato, karana, causal, sharira, vyatiriktaha. So in other words, it is other than these three bodies. So who are you? You're other than these three bodies. Okay? And then pancha, kosha, tita, you are other than, you're distinct from the five covers. So five covers, three bodies, they're just models. Please understand, they're just models. They're not to be sort of looked into detail. Even the causal body, the whole point of this inquiry is what? Just to recognize who you are not. Okay? We're not interested in analyzing and being experts at what are these three bodies. We just want to know, these bodies I'm not to be confused with. This is the essence of the teaching. I am not to confuse myself with these three bodies. And in order to not confuse ourselves, we need to what? We need to gain knowledge about the three bodies and the five covers. Thank God, we're moving on. Page 38. Okay, I'm not going to read this, but it starts with Sthula Sharira Kim. Next verse. Sthula Sharira Kim. Okay, let's just chant the first line. Sthula Shariram Kim. Sthula Shariram Kim. So basically it's now asking, what is the gross body? The gross body that we experience. And it says what? Panchikrta Panchamaha Bhuta Kritam. So all I just said now, don't worry what I said. All I said is, what is the material cause of the body? What has produced your physical body? What is it made of? And the answer is 5 basic elements. Okay, this is just a model. You can say, million different things. You can say this or that, but the Vedas has its own model. So what are these 5 basic elements? They have space, air, fire, water, and earth. So if you take your body, your body is what? It's obtaining within space. Okay. Now what? There's heat in your body. Your body is warm. So therefore, it's got fire. There is air in the in oxygenated blood. So there's air. There is 70% plus of your body is what? Right? Water. So if you take water out, it's like powder. It will be really weird, but it will be like powder. And what your body is, solid. It comes from earth because of plants, of course. So in other words, it's made of these 5 basic elements. And now these 5 basic elements, they are divided into 2 types. There's the subtle version and there's the gross version. Okay, so we've got 5 elements. One of them is subtle, one of them is gross. And now what happens is this subtle elements, they undergo a process of grossification. You know what this is? They become hard. Just a metaphor. If you, for example, take hydrogen and oxygen, okay? They're gaseous states. They're gassy. You cannot see them, you cannot feel them, you cannot smell them, you cannot touch them. Now you combine what? You combine 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. What happens from gaseous, from subtle, goes into gross. Something that you can feel, something that you can work with. And this process of conversion is called panchikarana. Panchikarana, that means what? Becoming the 5. So in other words, the 5 subtle are becoming the 5 gross. Panchikarana. And we will analyze this process very soon. Okay, so now it says what? Sat karma janyam. So all I said was, what is the efficient cause of the body? So we've covered the material cause, 5 basic elements. Now the efficient, this is the intelligent. What created your body?
Maya.
I've not heard of that word until we use it. What created your body? I don't know what Ishvara is. Knowledge? Huh? Food? Go deeper. Mom, dad? What created your body? What was because of what is your body sculpted?
Love.
Huh?
Love.
Okay. Definitely. What has sculpted your body in such a way that it enjoys its parents, it's born in a certain environment, It's a female, it's a male, it's strong, it's got athletic build, it's got a bigger build, it's got a height. What is
Genetic information.
Earth? Go on.
Information.
5 elements, go on.
Karma.
Sorry?
Karma.
Bhagavan.
Karma.
Excellent, excellent. So he's the only one that got it right. Okay. So karma. So in other words, what's karma? So your body is sculpted according to your past actions. Remember this subtle body. Okay, it undergoes what we call transmigration, and so whatever life it experienced, however many lives ago, we don't know. It gained merits and demerits based on its actions, and so now it's enjoying the life on the basis of its previous, inheritance of the physical body. In fact, karma is the only possible way to explain how are some children privileged and some are born with, disabilities and they die very quickly. Otherwise, if you don't bring in karma, then you can only say that God is sadistic. He just assigns terrible deeds for one to be born in an alcoholic family and one to be born in a royal family. So the only way to explain it is to say this person that's born is a continuity of what merits and demerits have been accrued in their previous incarnation, in their previous life that they went through in this world.
And how is the first body created? From where did it come?
When we get to the creation process, we will speak. Okay, and then sukha, dukkha, bhoga, ayatanam. So material cause done, 5 elements. Efficient cause done, karma. Now sukha, dukkha, bhoga, ayatanam. So what is the physical body for specifically? It is a place where I can meet you. Ayatanam, it's your house. Which is this the subtle body's house. It is a place where I come and say, hello. If you didn't have a physical body, I could not meet you. You will be floating everywhere like a ghost. So this means we need some physical, concrete matter in order for me to go, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, and so on. Okay? So now what? And it's a house where sukha, dukkha, where pain and pleasure is experienced. So in other words, based on all of the past deeds, we need a place to experience our pain. So if I hurt some person, right, I need to feel that pain relative to where that person is. Otherwise, if I didn't have a physical body, I hurt some person, and suppose I'm now everywhere, and so the pain is like over there, it's not localized. So I don't know who I quite hurt. So you need to localize the pain and pleasure, so I'm experiencing pain and pleasure here because I've done that over there. Therefore, there's I get feedback. So therefore, we can grow like this. We can develop, we can get feedback like this. Okay? So the importance of making the body concrete, allows you to actually learn about your mistakes, learn about what needs to be done and not done. Otherwise, you're everywhere, and how are you going to work with that? Okay. So let's see here verse. So panchikrita panchamaha bhutaihi. So in other words, panchi krita. So each element is made into 5, and then satkarma janyam, born of karma. Now, to be born of karma, of what kind of karma? If you're born with karma of a human being, that means one with a sophisticated intellect, then thank God you have the capacity to come and grab this from me. Exactly, okay? You have the capacity to stand up or sit down. Therefore, you can choose whether I want to, what do I want to do with my life. So now, sukha dukkha bhoga, yep. So it's a place to enjoy pain and pleasure. Good. Now, asti jayate vardhate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyati. Okay, so now the body goes through how many stages? It goes through 6 stages. And what are they? It starts out asti. So it goes into fetus stage. Now, in other words, it's alive, fetus. And then it goes into jayate. It's born. And then it goes into vardhate. It grows. And then it goes into viparinamate. This is a place where you have total change. Voice starts to break, hair starts to grow out. This is an age between 13 to 24 plus minus, when the teenager is more or less quite confused and driven by hormones and all of these various things. It's a very hard life. I don't know quite much, but they say 13 to 24, person's figuring out what they want to do with their life. So their body goes through many changes. Now apakshiyate, this is when decline begins now. So one's reached the peak of their womanhood, manhood, or their bodyhood, and now the body at some age or another starts to show decline, where now you need to apply deliberate effort to keep it decently fit. Okay, so this is gray hair. We all get this. This is not relative to anyone. Weakness of the body, muscle fiber starts to, it slowly go away. Brain cells start to lose their connections. It becomes harder to remember. We take longer to respond to someone. We need more time to think. So everything slows down in the older age. And so this is normal. It's not our order. It is an order that, by its own virtue, has these 6. And what's the last one? Vinashyati. Okay. And then the body, and then the subtle body leaves. Okay. Sikha, and then the last one. So therefore, shad vikaravad etat. So these are the 6 modifications that every body will go through. Every body goes through 6 modifications. Someone here is no one is at viparinamate stage. No one is between 13 and 25. I don't know. Okay, thank God we have one youngster. It's amazing, right? It's so rare to find, I tell you. But the rest of us, we're going to these other stages. Okay, next verse. We'll just chant the first line.
Is it possible that a body is born, a baby is born without karma?
This is now called only avatara. Avatara. Avatara is, tara, it means that one who comes down, literally in Sanskrit, the one who comes down. So we no longer need avataras because, avatars are only required in the early stages of humanity, when there's no internet, when there's no population, everyone's sort of barbaric, there's no rules set up. So you need some strong character to establish, the law, to bring the law that is universal. We call them universal principles. So this is why nowadays we don't have avataras, because, what's an avatara? You're just another person in a white robe now, right? But back then, in the earlier times, when humanity was taking place, when we were still thriving and our population was smaller, then we had these characters born without karma, so that they can establish the law. And what happens? Then that law in each cycle of creation on the world continues for millions of years, which is why we are now living what? We're living the law of Jesus, what Jesus established, what Krishna established, what Rama established, what the Prophet, what the Buddha established. Yeah.
Because there are so many more people than in the early ages. I mean, there's an explosion of growth of the population, And all these people, where does the karma come from? Is it, do I have a shared karma with somebody else or something? Do we have to share?
So karma, you see there's infinite amount of jivas in this universe. Infinite, okay? So this means whichever world the jiva is most suited for, that world they will be born. Okay, this is not the only world. There are lower worlds and there are higher worlds.
And Buddha, that was your question, remember? Yeah, now this is the answer,
yeah. Yeah, so there's no one going to be coming down. You know, it's like, who are you, man?
That is not a choice. If you have no karma anymore, you cannot choose and go back to where.
If you have no more karma.
Yeah, then you're not coming back, right? But if you want to go back, it's not possible.
This is called bodhisattva. It comes, okay? I know this notion. It comes from Buddhism. This is not possible because the person who decided to come back, okay, there will be no one to remember that. So this means what? You cannot now wake up next life and go, you know, I remember making a promise that I'm going to come back and save humanity. And even if someone does make that promise, then how are you different from millions of 15-year-olds who want to save the world? So you're just another, you know, so you're just another human, you're just another character, right? Okay, so do we chant? Sukshma Shariram Kim, Sukshma Kariram Kim, Shariram. So as I said, Sukshma is that which cannot be perceived by your physical senses. Now what does it say here? Panchanyandriya, Sukha Dukkha Bhoga, Pancha Prana. Okay, good. So it's got Saptadasha Kalabhi, so 17 aspects. This is the most important part. So your subtle body has 17 aspects. Okay, so let's see what they are. They are faculties of perception. How many? 5. So this means they enable the physical eyes to work. They enable the gross hairs of the ears to work. Okay, they enable capacity to, to taste. They enable the capacity for the tongue to taste. Remember, these are not physical. This is not physical tongue, physical eye, physical ear. This is the capacity for the eye to see. So this means if you have an eye transplant, even though I know that's not possible because of the optic nerve, complications, but if you were to put a new eye, instantly vision would continue. So this means there's already a faculty waiting to accommodate a physical eye to start working. So these are the 5 faculties. And what are they? They are seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling. Can you think of a 6th one?
Sure.
Can you think of a 6th one?
Yeah. The sense of the body where it's in space, that's not part of it.
Oh. Okay, we've got something new here. So there's only 5. Now this sense of the body in space is maybe a mixture of maybe inner sensation. I don't know what it is, but can you think of something else other than? No, I didn't ask you to recall. I asked you to create something new. Can you think of something other than these 5 senses? Can you think? It's such a weird question. All we can think of is what already exists. We cannot think of something outside of what doesn't exist. Therefore, we cannot think of anything other than hearing, or seeing, or touching, or smelling. Yeah. And then, Pancha Karma Indriya. So same thing, we've got the 5 faculties for action. Okay, we've got speech, we've got for hand for grasping, we've got legs for locomotion, we've got the procreation organs, Okay, we've got excretion organs. These are all necessary for what? These are faculties, by the way. These enable the actual excretion, the actual procreation to work. Okay? And then we have what? 5 pancha prana. So pancha prana, this is not confused, this is very simple. It just means physiological functions. Okay, you can use the biological model of today, it's the same thing. But what do we have in the Vedas? We have the 5 pranas. We have apana, apana, this is for excretion. We have what? Samana, this is for digestion. We have prana for inhalation and exhalation. We have udana, this is for reversal, like vomiting. What else do they reverse? What else do we reverse? Hiccup, I think also what? Sneezing, right? And also, it's the last prana that operates when the physical body dies. It severs the subtle body from the physical body. And
the eject chair.
It is the ejector chair. And then we got Vyana. Vyana is circulation of the blood. Okay, you see, these are just basic physiological functions. You don't have to call them vital airs or all this nonsense. Just call them physiological functions. How is air vital now? What's vital air? Okay, so then what else? Now we also have the antahkarana. So antahkarana, just means inner instrument, and this inner instrument is divided into 2. Okay, and there are what? It's not like it's divided. It's just to distinguish this instrument into different modes. If it's in the mode of fluidity, this is called doubt. We give that mode the mind. We just call that the mind. If it's experiencing a mode of solidity, something that's concrete, what kind of mode do we call that? We call that intellect mode. This is it. So antahkarana just has 2 modes. As the fluid mode, and that means should I approach him or her? Should I say something? Should I ask a question? Should I wait longer? And then you finally say, okay, I want to ask a question. Okay, so now what happened? You went into fluidity, into doubt, into this is going to happen, into a decision. Partners spending a long time together, hopefully to get to know each other, and then the man is kind of making his mind up. He's looking at her behavior, he's studying him like a specimen, and right. And then inside the man's mind, he's ruminating. Should I propose to her? And then he finally gets enough evidence, enough vision to make up his mind. And then finally, when the mind is made up, it causes his body to go to the store, hopefully to measure her finger while she's sleeping, and then to go to the store. Okay? So, in other words, these 2 modes. Okay? Now, and then what makes up? This is the material cause. What makes up the subtle body? We already said what makes up the physical body. What makes up the physical body? The 5 gross elements. What makes up the subtle body? The 5 subtle elements. Okay? Apanchikrita panchamaha. So in other words, they have not gone through grossification. It just means subtle. And satkarma janyam. Now what's the efficient cause for the subtle body? Remember, the efficient cause for the physical body was karma. What's the efficient cause for the subtle body? I need your help. Karma. Same thing. So in other words, look at this is genius creation. In other words, you always get karma. Your subtle body karma gets consistent karma for the physical body. So if you had enough what they call merits and demerits in a previous life, then that's going to give you a life, a body that is in accordance with the previous one. So if you are to receive a subtle body of a human, then you need to receive the physical body of a human. Just imagine a human subtle body inside a dog, you know, so that wouldn't work, right? Because you need to have a consistent subtle and a gross body. Okay, and sukha, dukkha, bhoga, sadhanam. So same thing, like we said, ayatanam, physical body, we said it's a house where I can find you. Now, in this case, it's what? It's an instrument, your subtle body is an instrument for pain and pleasure to take place. So the physical body contains it, but the subtle body enables it, okay? This is why you can have a nightmare in a dream when there's no physical body. So this means what? The mind is that which is able to produce pain and pleasure. But when it sends it to the physical body, that pain and pleasure becomes a lot more specific, a lot more tangible, something to work with. Whereas if it's in just the mind, like a dream, it's so hard to work with that, isn't it? It's just a big nightmare. It's hard to analyze that. So this means both are needed to work with them. Okay, next one. So we're gonna, so shrotram, twak, chakshu. Okay, so what is this? Organs of perception. Organs of perception and organs of action. So this is, what does it say here? So shrotrasya vishayaha shabda granam. So it starts with shrotram twak. The verse starts with shrotram twak. I'm just looking down. So shrotrasya vishayaha shabda granam. In other words, what the faculty that enables hearing is what? The physical organ that enables hearing. Yeah, the physical organ that enables hearing is the ear. Okay. The physical organ that enables to touch is your skin. This is why this is why the person is identified completely with their body, because there's one sense organ that is all over. Your tongue is only here. Okay, your eyes are only here, but where's your skin? All the way from here to here. This is why we are identified with the entire body, because of this one single sense organ, which is the skin. So now,
Andre, question: does the whole other system of sensations, like inner pain, maybe in an organ, it's also under touch, I guess?
Of course,
in this system, yeah.
Of course. So this is just on the external. So now you also have, internal. It's all over the body. But for example,
yeah, it's more like an example because they say skin and stuff.
But I want to extend upon that. Your hair, right? You don't feel pain in your hair or your nails. Why? Now you could argue biologically, say there's no receptors there, but it's just imagery to show you what happens when the subtle body does not pervade the hair and the nails. Some student in my class said in one of the Western schools, someone said, God extends up to your hair and nails. This was in one of the Western philosophies. And so what they were talking about, prana, right? Prana, your subtle body extends up to your hair, except your hair and nails. So now in that same way, this is what I mean, where the subtle body stops, there's no more possibility for pain or pleasure to be felt. Okay, so to see color, what we have to see color form, we have the eyes to see, to have taste, we have tongue, to smell odor, we have to smell odor, we have nose. Okay, so we already know this, right? This is easy. So how much does each of these contribute to your total experience? 1/5. So your experience is made up of what? 5/5. So you take away the eyes right now, you're still experiencing the world minus form. Take away sound, You're still experiencing the world minus form and sound. So this means your entire experience of being alive is what? A construct of 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Therefore, we say, oh, and then we talk about and we create commercialism. Is driven based on taking 1/5. You go to the cinemas that is taking 1/5 just for the eye. You have the music industry that is 1/5 just for the ear. You have massage that is 1/5 for the skin. So this means the whole world is operating, taking 1/5 of these and generating income, basically. And then same thing for next page, organs of action, karma indriya. Same principle, we could say there is function of, there's function of what? So there's function of procreation, right? There is a function of, hands, we got payu, okay, so we got vak, pani, pada. So speech through your vocal cords, capacity of hand, that means capacity to grasp, okay? Capacity to grasp. This is not physical hand. This is subtle. This is still subtle. So capacity to grasp, capacity to hold. We take this for granted, don't we? Look at this. This is actually an intelligence of itself that allows the physical hand to hold a cup, okay? Capacity for leg, which is locomotion. So this means, you can also sometimes play the piano with your feet. So in other words, you redirect the capacity to grasp to your feet. So this can also be possible. So these are the 5 capacities, for anus for excretion, genitals for procreation, capacity of leg, that means for movement, capacity of hand, that means to grasp and hold, capacity of speech, that is to communicate. You take just vak out, speech. None of this would be possible. This tradition could not be possible because this tradition is what? Ear to ear. Someone has to speak, someone listens. So look at this glory. One vak. Now if one has a animal body, then what? Vak you're not going to receive. Therefore, there's no chance of growth. So this means these capacities are what? For the one who has the ability to attain moksha. Oh, it wants now to ask about causal. Okay, causal body. Okay, so now we're at the causal body. Karana shariram kim. Karana shariram kim. So what does it say? Avidya. Yeah, so this avidya word. So what is the nature of the causal body? It is the nature of ignorance. And now this ignorance, you cannot understand ignorance. Some philosophers try to understand ignorance. This is not possible because ignorance just means what? I don't know. Okay, well, how can you study that? So now ignorance is always relative to something. So I don't know, fill in the blanks. About something. I don't know about something. That's all ignorance is. I don't know who I am. I don't know how to fly an airplane. It doesn't matter. I don't know. And this ignorance, until it's removed, it causes problems. Whatever problems it causes problems. So this means what is opposed to ignorance? Knowledge. So this means to remove ignorance, that which causes problems. How do we solve problems? By gaining knowledge. Okay? So in other words, what? All source of problems is ignorance. Therefore, solution solves the problem. And is this avidya real or is it unreal? Is avidya real or unreal? If it was real, what would be the problem with that?
It would never go away.
It would never go away. Oh no, right? So no, why is it? How do you know it's unreal? Because we experience all our lives. We remove ignorance about this, about that, about the nature of who you are. It's the exact same thing. Nothing special, nothing magical. It's just, so what? It goes away in the wake of knowledge. Knowledge erases it. Okay? Now, were there not to be ignorance, then there will be no problem at all. So the whole world is just a product of ignorance. So in other words, if ignorance were not to be, if ignorance did not exist, then there will be no problems, right? No one will be making a mistake. That would be quite awesome, wouldn't it? You just know what to do, you know what to say, you can learn. You don't have to go and how to communicate, how to be funny, how to do this, how to be confident, and you would just know everything.
Boring.
Huh?
Boring. That's boring, and what you say in that state, it is boring. No problem at all.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, but there is a problem, right? So the problem has to be addressed. And so this is now you can say, why is ignorance there? Well, look at this. Why is ignorance there? So what does this question imply now? That ignorance, once upon a time was not, and then some fella decided, let's create ignorance, and now you say, why is ignorance there?
But it is there because in limitlessness there's the potential.
No. Don't mix this logic with ignorance. Ignorance is just, we have to talk about the term that I'm not going to use now. Starts with M, which, okay? I don't know, but we talk about that. But do not use, because a common error is you say, limitless means everything is possible, including ignorance. This is the huge mistake in Vedanta that I will correct, okay?
The way you use the word knowledge now, can it also mean information?
In this case, we have to discern.
The combination.
Yes.
Okay.
In this case, information, okay? I'm not going to say more because it's a totally different topic when we talk about knowledge that facilitates this world, okay? That's Ishvara.
Yeah.
That's Ishvara. Okay, but now is not the time. So far, the only knowledge that we have used is relative to what? Awareness. So knowledge principle, okay? Not information. Now it says what? What is the causal body? Sharira dvayasya karana matram svarupa jnanam. Anirvachaniya. Okay. Okay. So what is the nature of the causal body? So what is the nature of ignorance? Okay. And it says sat asadhyam anirvachaniyam. So now, how do they interpret this? They say it is inexplicable. Incorrect. It is inexplicable means you cannot explain it. You can explain it. How? It means it's neither sat nor tucham. So ignorance is neither sat, it's neither existent, nor it's non-existent. Why is sat not existent? Because sat leaves in the wake of knowledge. Why is ignorance non-existent? Because we're experiencing ignorance. I don't know. So you can't say it's either existent, because it does leave, and you can't say it's non-existent, because I do experience it. Therefore, what? It's neither of these two. It has to be mithya. Therefore, this is why they say it's neither this, neither that. It is thus mithya. Okay, sharira dvayasya. It is so. In other words, it causes. It's the cause of the gross and the subtle body. So the causal body is the cause, is that body which causes our subtle body and our physical body. Okay? And now, how does it cause? How does it cause the physical and the subtle body? Let's go back to the logic. We said Jiva is born from ignorance, okay? Because we don't know. So therefore, I am born from ignorance because I don't know. When did ignorance start? We established that it cannot start from nothing, nor come from absolute knowledge. Therefore, it has to be what? Beginningless. So now, if it was beginningless, it means the Jiva, the living entity, was also beginningless. So this means that the Jiva was doing actions since beginningless time. And every action that you and I do accrues merits and demerits. Accrues what we call, accrues merits and demerits. And these merits and demerits, right, they get carried over. They need to kind of come out. But the body doesn't live long enough, right? So now, when the body dies, a portion, right, continues on to the next life. But now, in the next life, when you're born, what? You're doing more action. Therefore, you're accruing more merits and demerits, and that too now spills over into the next life. So now, like this, since the beginning, and therefore, it's the cause of your physical and subtle body. Why? To continue experiencing the consequences of the actions which you've already done before. Okay, very simple logic there. Okay? And Satsvarupa Ajnanam, so this causal body, it does what? It causes ignorance of one's sat. It causes ignorance of one's nature, of one's truth. Because I don't know. Simple. Okay? And nirvikalpam rupam. So in other words, what is ignorance? Ignorance is undifferentiated. It means it doesn't have, you cannot say, see, I don't know. That's all you can define ignorance is. It's not like I don't know. So if you don't know something, it is exactly the same I don't know that I have. There's only one I don't know. I don't know just means it's covered. I don't know. So in other words, you cannot say, I don't know a little bit more. I don't know more or less. Just I don't know. Therefore, it is without division. It is nirvikalpa. Okay? And it also, we said, causal body, it stores your, all of your merits and demerits, and it's like a recorder, a tape recorder. And this tape recorder, which we will talk about karma later. Okay? Now, suppose, just one analysis will do. Suppose you say, I believe that ignorance is because there's a physical body there. So before I do this, let's prove that the ignorance belongs to the causal body, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's prove that it belongs specifically to the causal body, because the scriptures say, what's the causal body? Ignorance. Okay? How do I prove that? So suppose you say, I don't believe that. I believe that I will have access to all knowledge if I just get rid of this body. And you say to me, no, you're not going to have access to all knowledge. Okay? And then what happens? I go to sleep. In sleep, what's still there? The mind is there. The physical body is gone. Do you have all knowledge in the dream?
No.
No. In fact, much knowledge you have here is as much knowledge you have in the dream. Now, suppose in the dream, some character says, suppose you say, I believe if I got rid of my mind, then I will have access to all knowledge. And someone says, no, I don't think so. And then what happens? You go into deep sleep. And now in deep sleep, is your mind there? It's gone. Do you know anything in deep sleep? No. So this means what? Ignorance belongs to that final state of deep sleep. And from deep sleep arises what? Arises From that ignorance, what I don't know arises what? The person in the morning. In fact, we say there is no difference between waking up in the morning and birth. It's the exact same experience, except the only difference is you wake up in a different body this time. Whereas in the morning, you wake up in the same body you had from yesterday. Right? So ignorance is ignorance. I don't know. Okay.
And there's one more. Remembrance. You remember yesterday, but you don't remember the people birth.
Yeah, so remember yesterday just to, to participate in this life and work out your, connections with the people I've hurt, with the people I've worked with. So there has to be a memory. Whereas, if we carried over our memories next life, then you'll be too preoccupied with what happened before. So again, this is an order which makes it easier for us to move on. Is 10 more minutes okay?
Yes.
Yeah, 10 more minutes? Okay. Next page, 55. We're just going to say Jagradavastaka, Jagradavastaka. So this is the three-state analysis. So what is the waking state? This is now waking state. What is the waking state? It just says what physical objects like sound and form and color, they are perceived by your physical organs. So whenever your physical ear is working, when it actually has some function, then we call that the waking state. So in the dream, you see, when the body is not there, so someone could be whispering something to your ear, to your physical ear, and you're not going to hear that. So this means what the physical ear is not working, therefore we call that the dream state. Whereas when the physical ear is working, we call that the waking state. So now this world, this waking state is a product of what? 5 physical senses sending data to the mind, and we call that the waking state. Okay? Sthula Sharira Abhimani Atma. So Abhimani means identified. So when Atma is identified with the physical body, that means what? Identified with all three. Because to have a physical body, you also need what? You need a subtle body. You need your mind. Mind is your subtle body. And you also need your causal body, because your causal body is that from which your habits come from. Your personality comes from your causal body. How you sit, how you talk, how you walk, this is all from the causal body. Okay? So Atma, identified with all three, assumes the waker. So that's what the waking state is. When self is identified with all three bodies, causal body, subtle body, and physical body, we call that the waking state. And they call what? Atma Vishwa. Vishwa. What does the word Vishwa mean? It means complete. What does this mean, complete? It means you are fully both a karta and a bhokta. You enjoy doing, and you also can suffer and enjoy. You have both capacities, karta, bhokta. That means you have full faculties of humanhood available to you in the waking state. Therefore, you are complete. Whereas in a dream, you're only what? You're only a bhokta. You're only an enjoyer and a sufferer. You don't, do you go in a dream and go, ooh, I want to move these clouds, and I want to travel, and I want to sort of throw stones. You don't do this, even though I know someone's going to say what? Lucid dreaming, right? There's always an exception. We need not worry about that. But look at this. If you had free will in your dream, no one would have a nightmare. Everyone would look forward to going to a dream. I can hardly wait to dream tonight. I'm going to customize my world. I'm going to put a lot of flowers in the sky and create square circles and rabbit horns. Right? Right? But we cannot do that because there's no free will. And heaven is exactly the same like a dream. There's no capacity for free will in heaven. It's just a place of utter blissful enjoyment. Music is lovely, foods are lovely, you know, your body is lighter, hunger is different. So you cannot now say, no, I don't want this food, I want this food. Whatever, it's just like a dream. So there's no difference between a dream and heaven. And what? Atma. Now, one question is, why does it seem like, see, we started out with the inquiry saying your nature, you're not bound by space. You're everywhere. Okay, this is a fact. You're everywhere. Okay? Now, why does it seem like I'm not everywhere? Because what happens? What happens is you have a subtle body. So in other words, when Atma is partaken by the subtle body, in other words, when consciousness obtains within the subtle body, that subtle body further obtains within a physical body. Therefore, what do we say? I, which is actually referring to the whole thing, I am here talking to you. So look, so what happened here? The total field of existence, consciousness, what? Got enclosed in one single subtle body, and that subtle body is further placed into a physical body within time and space. And therefore we say, I, the whole, am just here, and you, the whole, are just over there, and I, the whole, have to walk over there, even though I'm already over there, have to walk over there and shake your hand. So this is why it seems like, even though, you know, your nature is the whole, it seems like I'm here and not over there. So why? Just because there's a subtle body and a physical body enclosure. It's very simple. And we will continue the rest when we come back. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.